Good morning. We'll call the board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning. Consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I have none.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, to proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, to proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Payment of the bills.
Mr. Chairman, I move the payment of the bills.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Building maintenance. Scott. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Scott. Okay, I'm coming to you to seek approval to utilize $19,543.87 out of my 115 budget for further improvements to the chiller system in the courthouse. As you know, we've approved to replace the chiller up on the roof. We had a compressor burn up on us last fall, of which they're going to be putting that on the roof here tomorrow. But all the internal piping, the cold water piping within that mechanical room, which feeds 3 air handlers, once they got into it, that piping was in really rough shape. So we had piping to all 3 chillers had to be replaced, as well as one of the coils had to be replaced. So without it, the chiller that we're putting on the roof would be of no value to us. So, is there any questions?
So what changed between these chiller? When did you find these problems?
When we started doing the demo for the to install the new chiller,
Okay.
and it's some of the piping. The piping's all insulated, and the insulation that's on there you don't really see until you start cutting off. And when they went to cut off at the chiller barrel and we saw the condition of the piping, we started going and exploring and inspecting all the other piping in there, and it was really badly pitted. So I mean, it was only a matter of time before we saw a failure there.
Okay. So something that couldn't be predicted until we took the old chiller out.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Scott?
No. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the requests.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski, and I'll second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, will proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff's Office. Morning, Tim.
I'm here today with Christy for 2 different things GIS related, but the requirements are on the Sheriff's Office, the PSAP to do it, but we need GIS to be involved, so we're kind of double teaming this. The first one is to accept an award or a grant from the Department of Public Safety up to $48,594 to convert McLeod County's GIS data to a different data set, or however you want to word it, to be utilized with the state of Minnesota's next-gen 911 system that they're moving towards.
Okay. All right, any questions for Tim?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The second item would be to approve a quote that was actually received by Christie from Geocom in the amount of $38,055 with possible additional costs not to exceed the grant amount of $48,594. The other quote that was received was from Pro West in the amount of $62,509 plus additional expenses.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Tim, on this contract, is this primarily software services, or what are we getting in this contract?
They would be converting McLeod County, my understanding is they'd be converting current McLeod County data to the standard requested by the state for the next Gen 911 system.
Okay. So there would be, but it would be all internal in our systems, or is there?
They
any-
would take the data, convert it, hand it to us, we would submit it to the state, and then you can chime in here. Then we would maintain that data at that standard going forward.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, any more questions?
I've got one, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Tim, with the difference in the two bids being so large, are we confident that the lower bid is adequate to do what we need it to do?
I need to defer to Christie on that. He actually got the quotes.
Okay.
Christie, I'm sorry, you gotta come to the mic. Otherwise, we'll get yelled at from the public.
Very good. Yes, we're very confident, but making sure that the $38,000 plus a possible additional up to the grant amount, there could be other things that come up, but Geocom is very, very capable. They are the company that does this. So yes, they will do a very good job for us.
Okay, thank you. I just, when there's that much difference in the price, you're gonna make sure we're getting pretty much apples to apples here, so.
All right,
All right,
Ron?
Mr. Chairman, Tim, if Geocom performs this contract for the stated amount of $38,055, and our grant is for $48,594, any surplus funds, or do they have to be returned to the,
The unspent money would be returned. This is actually, we would pay for it out of our 911 fund first and then get reimbursed for whatever is spent
okay,
out of that.
all right. So
And
no,
they're-
they won't send us a check, and we won't have to send a refund then?
No.
Okay, all right, thanks, Tim.
All right, any further questions? All right, I lost track where I'm at. Do I have a motion for this purchase?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Emergency Management, Kevin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here before you this morning to change our current sandbag policy that we have to sell sandbags to the public. As you know, we have a projected flood that's going to be pretty high this year compared to last year's. To date, we've sold 900 sandbags to the public already, and expect those numbers to continue as our temperatures increase. So with our sandbag policy, it was originally acted back by the commissioners in July 2014 to sell Publix. At that time, we went to the North Complex to buy the bags, and then we would have to make contact with somebody to get them to storage to get those taken care of. So that was really cumbersome for the employees. It was really cumbersome for the public. So what we did is we changed our location of that to sell them in the sheriff's office. That would allow staff or the public to come in and our staff to deal directly with them to get that taken care of in an expedited manner. So they'll get a receipt and they'll issue the sandbags out right away to the public right away. These sandbags, of course, are unfilled. So that's one change that we would like to change in our policy. The second change would be the price would change from 15 cents now that we charge plus tax. So we'd increase that to 20 cents a bag with tax included. So that's going to be easier for the public. It's going to be easier for our staff instead of trying to make change and be an expedited process so we can get the sandbags out to the public when they need them. So that's the two main parts that we have to change at this point.
So have you worked the money part with the finance department, worked that backwards, everything's
Yeah.
copacetic there?
Yes, Kevin worked with Colleen, and we got the numbers right.
Okay, good.
How many sandbags do we have on hand?
For the public now, we have about 9,000. Total between highway department and everything, we're probably sitting about 13 to 14,000, somewhere thereabouts.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
You said everything's handled through the sheriff's department, and not necessarily that it pertains, but is the city of Hutch, for the people in Hutch, do they have a different way, or do they have to come through the sheriff's office too? Are you?
Right now, they would be coming through the sheriff's office. So to my knowledge, there are no cities really selling sandbags
Okay.
to the public. So we did get some free sandbags that we got acquired through U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So we had 5,000 bags here in Glencoe, 1,000 sandbags in each Brownton, Winstead, and Lester Prairie. Those are the only cities that requested those. So we do have another 8,000 in there that were not included in the other totals I just previously mentioned. So.
I'll move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll have another question following the vote on this.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ron, do you have something
Mr.
else?
Chairman, yeah. Kevin, while you're here, in the event that we do have a flooding event and you need sandbags filled and located around the communities in the county, is there going to be just a general call for volunteers at that point, or how would you find the personnel to fill and install sandbags in an emergency?
Yeah, in the event of a widespread disaster where we need a lot of volunteers, we'll just actually put out a call for volunteers to assemble at a certain location wherever we're going to be sandbagging, and we'd make sure they're registered and doing some different things like that, so we keep track of them and stuff. But if we need to get to that point, we will definitely do that.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Is there, do you have the apparatus, lack of a better word, machine to do multiple bag fillings? I mean, in the event that you need, or is that something you do when you need it, or?
Yeah, we do have capabilities for that. Building maintenance actually assembled some sandbag filling tubes. We can fill sandbags at once through big PVC pipes. We can do that. If we need a big machine, we do have 2 machines for Homeland Security and Emergency Management in the state. Our closest one is going to be down in Windham. So if we do need that, that's kind of a limited resource based on, we're going to have to determine where we can have that and where are the most critical areas of the state to require those.
And they'll probably need that down that way worse than we will, but is there much going on right now in the county? I mean, have you got any updates on, is there any places where you've had calls on or responded to or worried about right now in the county?
Yeah, we currently have about 2 to 3 roads closed due to water over the road. We do have a few different spots as well that have water up on the road, but the roads are going to remain open at this point. So we're in close contact with the jurisdictions, the cities, the townships, to start documenting their damages should we get to the point where we need state or federal disaster assistance. So.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. So,
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
okay, thank you.
Assessor's office, I don't see Sue yet. All right, we'll go on to our calendars, Rich.
Okay, since our last board meeting, obviously we had the workshop right after the meeting, good discussion on that one. On the 7th, I attended the Prime West meeting in Alexandria. 11th, we met with the social service staff to go through duties on the interim for right now. 12th, we had a personnel committee meeting. I also had our township meetings. I met with Hassan Valley, Rich Valley, and Sumter Townships. Had a good discussion at every one of them. 13th, met with the architect on our government center plans. 14th, Pact for Families, we had our annual chief elected officers board meeting, and I was elected vice chairman of the Pact for Families CEO board for the coming year. And on the 18th, yesterday, we had a informational meeting on County Ditch 35 and County Road 15 crossings and so forth, and good discussion and some new information on some of the possibilities there. So we're exploring some of those possibilities yet on that ditch system and see where that takes us before we finish that road. It brings us up to today, Mr. Chair.
Paul?
Okay, I had a meeting with Sibley County, Renville County, Highland Watershed Board. Doug and I attended, as well as our SWCD staff on Baker's Lake and Highland Watershed, as we try to make some long-range plans as far as how to deal with water in that area. Then attended 4 township meetings last week. It'd be Lynn, Collins, Penn, and Round Grove. And had a handout covering highway projects, road funding, ditches, and watershed activity. Prior to that, I was selected to be part of a interview from the Washington Post on issues with the agricultural economy as associated with trade issues. So I was glad to be a part of a story like that with that particular route to journalism.
All right. Following our meeting, we had the workshop. I had a personnel meeting that I attended via an iPhone, so that worked out nice. So I appreciate the flexibility on that day. Also, some other phone calls regarding personnel issues with administration. The annual township meetings at Hutchinson and Tacoma Township, and worked with the highway department, and they did a great job, specifically Elvis, regarding some water issues, and it was in the area of Hook Lake and the development up there, 236 Circle, so I wanted to tell them thank you for their work.
All right, Mr. Chairman, since our last board meeting, the evening of March 5th, I attended a Lester Prairie Economic Development Association meeting talking about the county facilities over at Lester Prairie and transitioning that. They're working on that, waiting till they hire their new city administrator before they make any further inquiries on that property. On March 7th, I had the Prime West Health Joint Powers Board meeting up in Alexandria. Rich and I attended that, and we are always looking at finances there. The Prime West Executive Committee had meetings with the governor's staff and DHS commissioner back in February, and we continued to discuss that and to see how we can work more effectively with the state to get adequate funding for our health care needs in our 13 county area. On March 8th, we had the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services Joint Powers Board meeting. We received the annual report, which I have here if anyone wants to see it. It's available for review, or it is also online if you'd like to check it online. On March 11th, I met with the administration and the social services supervisors talking about reorganization moving forward in the interim until we have a new director in place. And then on March 12th, we had the township's annual meetings at Bergen, Hale, and Winstead. Very well attended meetings. I also provided a handout for those attending the meeting. On March 13th, we met with the architects on the government center plan, and that is moving forward. We'll hear about some more of that at our workshop today. Also on the 13th, the Community Health Board Executive Committee, this is the Meeker McLeod Sibley CHS Board Executive Committee, met to iron out some details going forward. So we also have an interim administrator working on the CHS. On the 14th of March, the CHS Board, Joint Powers Board met, and at that point we ratified a contract with Diane Winter of Meeker County Health and Public Health as our interim director for the CHS Board. On the 18th, yesterday, I took a tour of the new government center building just to get a feel for the amount of space there and how things will look. And I appreciate Scott Grivna giving me the walkthrough on the building. And then we also had the CD8 ditch informational meeting yesterday, and that was well attended, and we had some pretty thorough discussions there on work on CD32. And that brings us up to today, Mr. Chair.
Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since our last board meeting, or after our last board meeting and workshop, I attended also a meeting with our architects, and we reviewed the plans on our new building. And if you're noticing, they're roving around. The architects are talking to different board members at different times, and to get a good idea of how to move forward with the plans there. And I think that's good. You get different ideas at different times. That evening of the 5th, Commissioner Wright and myself attended a Ward Lake hearing with the DNR on a control structure, and that affects JD 17. That's one of the bigger reasons that I was there, and to see just how that's going to affect our landowners. On the 6th, I attended a North Fork Crow board meeting. I also, well, on the 7th, I did, we had a review of the Morningside corridor and the progress of what's going on there with the Buffalo Creek watershed, the railroad and the city, on how to move forward and how we're doing on our budgets there and additions or possibly subtractions from the project. On the 7th, Commissioner Wright and myself also attended a luncheon at the Glencoe Silver Lake Schools. It was a meeting with our students. I don't know how Paul liked it, but it's kind of unique to go up and see what's going on in the schools and talk to some of the kids. That afternoon, we had the Bakers Lake informational meeting. On the 8th, I attended my first Southwest Minnesota Area Transportation Partnership, and that was at Granite Falls. I was appointed to that by Mid-Minnesota, and it's a partnership to explore different transportation improvements or problems in District 8, and it's basically an advisory group. It's quite a large group of engineers, mayors, different groups in District 8 give their opinions on how to move forward. On the 11th, I had an MRC board meeting, and like our chair was complimenting, this was done on a computer. It was the first time GoToMeetings.com, and I believe that's what it was called, but it was actually pretty good. I had not done one of those before, and I can see once a little tweaking's done, we'll be able to have some efficiencies with some of our meetings that we have to travel to, both in time and mileage, but it's you can interact and you don't feel like you're a million miles away. It seems it's all nice in real time, and it works pretty well. On the 12th, I had a department head meeting, and then in that afternoon and evening, I attended my two townships, Helen Township and Glencoe Township's annual meetings. Had some good conversation on different things going on in their townships and in the county. Yesterday morning, the 18th, I had another project management meeting here in Glencoe with the Department of Transportation, which involves the Glencoe Transportation Study. It's a step-by-step project of different routes in and around the Glencoe area, a lot of it pertaining to Highway 212. And then I also attended the County Ditch 32 informational meeting yesterday afternoon, and that brings us to today, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Cindy, anything to add?
No, I do not, Mr. Chair.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll go back to the assessor's office. Sue? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm here concerning the task court petition that we had got filed against us for pay 18. We had Dwight Dolan do a preliminary appraisal, and in discussion with him and his preliminary appraisal, he felt that the numbers were a little bit high than what we have. In conversation with neighboring counties, these big boxes are a challenge for a lot of the counties, and they are giving adjustments to them. So I'm here today to present an offer that I did present a target. They did accept it if the board approves. It's concerning two parcels. The first one is where the structure is at, and then there's the parking lot area out in front of it is the second parcel. The first parcel we're looking to reduce from $4,919,600 to $4,465,100. the second parcel where the parking lot is at, to reduce it from 352,800 down to 274,400. So the petition that they have currently on file is for pay 18. We're looking at, the offer was for pay 18, and if the board approves, to do a stipulation to pay 19 as well.
All right, one more time with that stipulation that this would be pay 18, and then this is also the values for 19.
So for pay 18 is where they filed the task court petition. They
Yeah.
have not filed for pay 19 yet. They're willing to do that, or we can just do a stipulation that it includes pay 19 as well.
Okay.
So you're really, if you approve this, you're really doing two things. You're authorizing me to enter into an agreement for pay 18. You're authorizing Sue to make the adjustment for pay 19.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on any of that?
I do. Could you just expand on that a little bit? When you say you're gonna do the pay 18 and she'll do pay 19, can they disagree on the pay 19? And does that bring us back to square one, or will that be all in one negotiation?
They're in agreement for both years.
Okay.
All right, any questions for Mike or Sue?
Sue, could you just give me the dollar figures on the parking lot?
So it went
numbers once more?
from 352,800 to 274,400.
Okay. All right, I misunderstood the second number there. Thank you for clarifying.
I'd move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back to county administration. Sheila, I understand you'll be handling at least the first few of these. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sheila. Morning.
Item A for county administration, asking for you to consider approval of a residential purchase agreement for 607 DeSoto Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota, County of McLeod, owned by Santiago and Andrea Martinez, in the amount of $110,000 with a tentative closing date of Thursday, May 30th, 2019. Additional costs would include closing costs yet to be determined, as typically about 3% of purchase price.
Mr. Chair, this is the property next to the government center, the new government center that we need to purchase for the parking lot.
All right. And this
Mr.
was-
Chair,
Yes, sir.
so Sheila, you're saying we're paying the closing costs. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Any questions for Sheila?
Yeah, Sheila, the Martinez have agreed to this price now at this point? Is that?
They can't until you approve for me to negotiate with them, but we
Okay.
have had discussions.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer, any discussion? Rich, did you have anything more?
No, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B, asking for you to consider approval for the Personnel Committee recommendation to increase the hours of the currently open Technical Specialist 1 position in the Licensing Center from 24 hours per week to 40 hours per week. This request is in response to the increased transactions as a result of the demand for enhanced driver's license, MNLARs, and real IDs. The needed for hours of this position would be reviewed upon any staffing level changes within the licensing center as they arise.
Just so everybody knows, I'm in favor of this, but I challenged Sheila and the Personnel Committee pretty hard on this one because I didn't like the additional hours. But for what it's worth, I was convinced because of the workload regarding this MNLAR system. And I get it's passed on from us, so we can have that argument all day, but the bottom line is we have to find a way to get the job done. So that's, I guess, my Personnel Committee piece of this. So is there any questions for Sheila?
Mr. Chairman, just a comment. I was in the North Complex yesterday afternoon, and I was just amazed at how many people were lined up waiting for service at the windows there. And the comment was made that in the metro area, it takes so long to get service for, the license tabs and renewals that they're coming out to our offices to renew
true.
their tabs because we are so efficient out here. So
We've gained some popularity.
you have.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Sheila, do you know if there's going to be any corresponding increase in revenue or fees because of this addition of a person?
I don't know. Cindy, maybe someone better to ask that question to.
With people coming from the metro area, like Commissioner Smansky indicated, we will see an increase in revenues. What that dollar amount is, the fees are like $3, $5, so it's not a huge money-making area for McLeod County for the license centers, so I don't expect huge revenue increases to come in.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request for the additional hours.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd also echo your sentiments on this. I've corresponded with the people out there and coming and going from the North Complex. There's just about a day-to-day lineup there, and they're working very hard to work with the public, and so I also agree that it's needed.
All right. Any further discussion?
We
Hearing none-
expect to have a better setup once we're in our new facility to address the lines. Right now, obviously, it's not an ideal arrangement for people coming in, waiting in line. We do realize there will be lines, and that's part of the reason that we added in our request that as staffing levels change, so if there's retirements or resignations, that we would review it every time it does arise.
Well, hopefully, within the next 50 years, they'll get Menlars fixed.
Thank you.
All right, on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And Sheila, thanks for letting me challenge this one a little more than
Thank
the other
you.
one. So, all right. Item C.
Asking for you to consider approval for the Personnel Committee recommendation to consolidate the department head roles of Human Services Director and Director of Public Health into one position name yet to be determined, while maintaining the current organizational structure and budget of each department as is until further consideration.
All right, any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We've run this discussion back and forth several times over the recent months, and I guess since we have vacancies in both departments right now, I think we need to proceed as best we can, and I'm okay with, going along with this, to find the right position, the right personnel to fill these positions. So I have no problem with this request at this time.
All right. Anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think this just goes along with our plans for restructuring on our government, and this, with both of those positions open at this point, it creates a opportunity for us to step forward and without doing a lot of research, but found out if the County of San Diego, California can use a combined department, I think the County of McLeod, County, Minnesota can do it also.
They're also in the same building with the city in the
Yeah.
county of San Diego.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I too, it's something we promised, or at least I did, I promised my constituents to work on efficiencies and consolidations. So it just came along that both of these positions are open, so I would move that we approve this.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item D.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item, consider approval of Resolution 19 CB16, authorizing a temporary loan of $640,400 from the general fund to the ditch fund to cover negative county and joint ditch fund balances for the year ending December 31st, 2018. So that would be the first motion that I'm looking for, and then a second motion to approve the interest rate.
This is about a once-a-year deal, right?
Yes, correct.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I mean, for anybody that is just paying a lot of attention, we're doing a lot of work with ditches, and along with a lot of neglected work comes the expense of paying for them. So these are some of the expenses that run with doing that. So having said that, I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. To authorize a temporary loan. Any discussion?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Doug had said, and these dollars are paid back to people on the ditch systems as well. That's an important thing to note within that this is money that goes there for a while, but it is all billed out to the people on those systems.
And like I said, it seems like we have to do this annually for
Yep.
cash flow
We do.
issues. So, any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Cindy, the repayment from the ditch funds to the general revenue fund, does that occur within the subsequent calendar year, or does this get prolonged over a number of years?
Yes to
Generally?
both of your questions. So, we have the ditch levy hearing in October each year, where we put a special assessment onto the landowners, onto the farmers that are within the watersheds, and that goes on, now will go on the taxes for 2019. We held our meeting in October of 18. However, you do multiple years on some ditch systems because the expense is higher than what the benefits are. So it could be 1 year, it could be 2 years. We've got loans out there that have been going on for 10 years.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, and I mean, these are ongoing repairs and things, so we I mean, the reason this comes up, and tell me if I'm wrong, is we don't always match the dates with the work, so sometimes we set up the payment and we run long on some of the work that needs to be done. So these are kind of in the middle type.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and redetermination of benefits.
What the theory is that the money ought to be in the account prior to doing any work, and that's what the state auditor wants you to do. The reality is that's not going to happen.
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Young.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The interest rate, what do we typically do, Cindy?
In the last couple of years, we've done 1%. If you want to stay with 1%, or if you want to go up to 2%, it's
I want to stay at
totally-
1%, so I'll move for a 1% interest rate. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rich?
Yes.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. Another year-end resolution is approving Resolution 19 CB 18, authorizing the acceptance of gifts and contributions in the amount of $16,723.17 for a year ending December 31st of 18.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the resolution 19 CB 17.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is to consider approving Resolution 19 CB 19. This is 19 Citizen Appointment Committee, additional appointments for feedlot and for the Extension Committee.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The last item is we have an opening with Gary Spinzanatic resigning from his position on the Wellbeing Committee, so we need to appoint another representative from the department heads, and Lynette Schrupp, the county recorder, has stepped up to be that representative. So I need approval for that, please.
I was at, Mr. Chair, I was at that meeting, and she did volunteer, very graciously volunteer, so I'd move to approve Lynette Shrepper's taking that appointment.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Cindy, anything else?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, to the point of our agenda, open forum. Anyone from the audience wish to address the board?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Bobier, Coma Township. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm here with a request regarding Trail Committee participation with the increasing flurry of workshops that's been taking place this year. There's a grave concern by many throughout the county asking why Steve Cook, Hutchinson City Councilor, has been put in the driver's seat for McLeod County Trails, not the people in general, or even the McLeod County Trail Committee, who this board created to advise the commissioners on trails. Why does the county board set up workshops and trails and apparently only invite Steve Cook to attend them? It's not fair or transparent for Hutchinson City Councilor to drive the conversation at these workshops and to lobby the board for his vision of the trails. Why wasn't the entire trail committee at least invited to attend the workshops and participate? Why can't the trail committee be a citizens-only group? Is it right to have a city councilor? Is that needed on the McLeod County Trail Committee? The commissioners are asked to consider the optics of these workshops and the meetings that are not well announced. Some believe purposefully so. Commissioner Wright picked Mr. Cook to be on the Trail Committee, so obviously he supports Mr. Cook's position. Many question how Commissioner Nagel, an employee of the city of Hutchinson, as a police sergeant, could be allowed to vote against Hutchinson City Councilor Steve Cook without impacting his job. It is for these reasons that the Trail Committee meetings really should be open and inclusive of all McLeod County input on trails to show that the commissioners are truly open and transparent. I understand the deadline to apply for legacy grants is August 1st. That should give plenty of time to listen to the other 60% of McLeod County that lives outside of Hutchinson and to make a decision on future trails that's best for all. I request that future trail workshops and meetings be opened up. Otherwise, I and others will be back to speak to you with the only remaining option you've left us with, this microphone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? Press relations, anything? All right, looking for a motion to recess to our next board meeting, April 2nd, 9 a.m. at the Glencoe City Center.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.